Good afternoon, everyone. So, today we are going to start the topic as the cytoplasm. We have discussed about the nucleus and the cell wall. For today, we are going to start the cytoplasm. We will discuss that what is its structure, its function, and the cell organelles. We are going to discuss today the three cell organelles: ribosome, endoplasmic reticulum, and the Golgi body. So, let's start. Now, what is cytoplasm? Cytoplasm क्या होता है? We have discussed the structure, the basic structure of the cell. हमने उसमें ये देखा था that we have the cell membrane and the protoplasm. Now we have divided the protoplasm into two types. आपका nucleus, ठीक है, and the cytoplasm. Now, if we exclude the nucleus, the remaining portion, that is the what? That is the cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is the जेल लाइक स्ट्रक्चर होता है ये inside the cell that surround the cell's organelles. It is enclosed by the what? By the cell membrane. Now, and in the eukaryotic cells, it excludes the nucleus. The cytoplasm consists of the three main components. Now, इसके जो components होते हैं, it have the three main components. What are they? They are the cytosol, cell organelle, cytoskeleton. There is one more part, that is the cell inclusion. What is the cell inclusion? क्या होता है? They are the non-living things like fat droplet, protein granules, starch granules. So they are what? They are the cell inclusion. Now, what is the cytosol? Cytosol क्या होता है? Cytosol is the liquid. Means it is the what? Liquid portion present inside the cell. What are they? They are the aqueous. Means it is present the what? Water is present in that aqueous, structureless, transparent material present. That is the what? Cytosol होता है, which is containing the iron, protein, and other soluble molecules. Now, organelle, they are the membrane bound structure, submembrane. Mitochondria, examples हैं सारे इसके, ribosome, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi apparatus. Then that perform the specific function. These organelles also have the specific functions and the structure also. So cytoskeleton is a network of protein filaments, microtubules हो गए, microfilament, and the intermediate filaments that provide the structure, that provide the support and the movement. Now, what is the function of cytoplasm? Cytoplasm की function क्या है? So, if we see, to it supports and suspends the organelle. It facilitates the cellular process like the example metabolism, protein synthesis. So it helps for the transport of what? Material within the cell के अंदर जो भी material है, it helps to transport them. Then if we see, they maintain the cell shape, stores the molecules needed for the cellular function. Now, this was all about the cytoplasm. Now, we are going to see the cell organelles of the cell. First, it is the ribosome. अगर हम बात करें, we can say that ribosome are what? They are the engine of cell. Or we can say the protein construction teams, protein factory of the cell, we can say that. हम ribosome को engine of the cell क्यों कहते हैं? Because if we see that there is what, अगर हमने एक व्हीकल देखी, we have seen a vehicle, उसमें क्या होता है? The vehicle is present the engine. If the engine stops working, the vehicle as well as the vehicle भी क्या होगा? आपका चलेगा, it will also stop. So what happens like that only? What? Ribosome is also the engine of cell. If ribosome is working, then only the cell is also working. Ribosome are tiny complex molecular machines found in all living cells में मिलते हैं, and it plays a crucial role in the protein synthesis, translation. Read the genetic instructions carried by the messenger RNA and assemble amino acid into the protein based on the coded information. अगर हम इसका key features देखें, means ribosome से key features if we see, they are the composition, made up of ribosomal RNA and the proteins. Means अगर हम उसका composition देखते हैं, we see the composition of the ribosome. So they are made up of what? Ribosomal RNA. They are made up of the RNA and the proteins. It is also made up of what? Two subunits. It has the two subunits, large subunits and the small subunits. Large subunits bind with the amino acids together, and the small subunits reads the mRNA. उसमें RNA होता है, location. अब ये कहाँ पे present होते हैं? They are present in the inside the cell. How? मीन्स दे आर फ्लोटिंग, ये फ्लोट करते रहते हैं, फ्लोट इन इनसाइड द साइटोप्लाज्म, मेक द प्रोटीन बनाते हैं फॉर द इंट्रासेलुलर यूज, they bound ribosomes attached to the endoplasmic reticulum, make the protein for the export or the membranes. So they are found in both आपके prokaryotic also and in the eukaryotic cells. Now if you are seeing this one thing, what is that? That is the prokaryotic cells में आपने देखा that 70s electron है, and in the eukaryotic cells you have seen that 80s. अब यहाँ पे आप think कर रहे होंगे, you are thinking that what is the meaning of this 80s? S का meaning क्या है? It means S stands for Swedberg's unit. It is a unit which means the numerical coefficient. It defines the density or the size of the cell but differs slightly in its size and the structure. अब now का function देखें ribosome का. If we see the function of the ribosome, the ribosome facilitates the decoding of mRNA into a polypeptide chain by coordinating the binding of the transfer RNA, now which carries the specific amino acids carry karta. This process is essential for the cell growth, repair and its function. Now this is the diagram. ये क्या है? This is the diagram of the ribosome. अगर हम यहाँ पे देखें, we see here this is the amino acid chain, protein are present. Now ribosome we have divided into two subunits, that is a large subunit and this is small subunit. This one is the codon, tRNA and the mRNA. The second cell organelle is the endoplasmic reticulum, ER. If we see, the endoplasmic reticulum is an extensive membrane-bound organelle that is found in the eukaryotic cell. It plays the crucial role in various cellular processes, including protein synthesis, folding, modification, lipid, आपका metabolism, and calcium storage. Now there are two types of endoplasmic reticulum. If we see, there are two types of endoplasmic reticulum. दो तरह के ER होते हैं, that is the RER. Second, it is the SER. RER is the rough endoplasmic reticulum and SER is the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. If we see the आपका RER, to discovered by the ribosome on its surface, giving it a rough appearance रहता है. Function in the protein synthesis, protein बनाता है, folding and modification. Like the protein synthesized here are often secreted or inserted into the membranes. Now, if we see the second, smooth ER, ये तो किसके बारे में था? It was about the rough ER. Now, SER means smooth endoplasmic reticulum lacks the ribosome. इसमें ribosome नहीं होता. Appearing smooth, involved in the lipid synthesis. आपका RER में तो क्या था? Protein synthesize हो रहा था, and in this it is the lipid synthesize. Detoxification, carbohydrate metabolism, and the calcium ion storage, important for the muscle contraction and the cell signaling. अगर हम देखें key function इसका, तो protein processing होता RER में, है ना, and synthesizes and modifies the protein destined for the secretion or the membrane integration. If we see, आपका lipid synthesis में होता है. Lipid synthesis is in the SER, produces the phospholipids, steroids and other lipids. Now what is the key function? इसका function क्या है now? अगर हम देखें, protein processing is in the RER. RER में क्या होता है? Protein processing होता है. Synthesizes and modifies the protein destined for secretion of membrane integration. If we see the lipid synthesis, SER produces the phospholipid, produce करता है steroids and other lipids. अब अगर इसके transport देखें, it forms the network. ये जो हमारा ER है ना, what it do? It forms a network that aids in intracellular transport of molecule. ये इसका diagram है. This is a diagram of this. We can see that ये जो part है, this part is what? RER, rough endoplasmic reticulum, and this is the smooth ER. Vesicle, this one is Golgi apparatus and the lysosomes. Now last जो हम इस lecture में देखेंगे, last cell organelle which we are going to cover in this lecture, that is the Golgi body. Golgi body जो है, what is it? It is the traffic light ये ट्रैफिक पुलिस है आपका. It is the traffic police of the cell. Golgi body, or we can say Golgi apparatus, Golgi complex. The Golgi body is a membrane bound organelle होता है. The single membrane bound structure found in the eukaryotic cells. Golgi body जो था, it was discovered by whom? Camillo Golgi in the 1878. Consisting of a series of flattened stag pouches called the Kister name. Okay, there is a series. What it consists of? It consists of a series of flattened and stacked pouches called the Kister name. It functions as the post office of the cell. Post office जो होता है ना हमारा, post office of the cell. Modifying, storing and packaging the proteins and the lipids for the secretion and delivery to the other organelles. अब अगर इसका स्ट्रक्चर देखें तो उसमें क्या क्या प्रेजेंट है वो सब हम देखेंगे. फर्स्ट वी आर गोइंग टू सी द क्रिस्टर्न. जैसे फ्लैटेंड डिस्क लाइक स्टैक्स होते हैं, यूजुअली 5 to 8 इन एनिमल सेल्स. एनिमल सेल्स में कितने होते हैं? 5 to 8 होते हैं. मींस दे आर सैक्स में प्रेजेंट होते हैं. The cristae and they are flattened and the disc like stacks. Faces of the Golgi body, it contains two faces. Which are them? They are the cis face and the trans face. Cis face means entry side, जहाँ से entry होती है. Cis face is the entry side, receives the vesicles from the endoplasmic reticulum, and the trans face is the exit side. Means it releases the modified products in the vesicle for the transport. अब यहाँ पे vesicle क्या? What are the vesicles? Small membrane sacs so that transport the molecules to and from the Golgi. Golgi से लेते हैं and exit करते हैं the small membrane sacs. Then if we see the function of it, what it do? It do the protein modification, add the carbohydrate, glycosylation to form the glycoprotein and sulfate or phosphosulfate. Okay, groups are signaling. Second, sorting and packaging. What to do? They do the sorting or packaging. They do the tags, protein and the lipid for delivery to the correct destination पहुंच जाए. जैसे कि lysosomes में पहुंच जाए, plasma membrane और secretion outside the cell. अगर हम देखें इसको, थर्ड क्या है? थर्ड ये पॉइंट है हमारा, that the lysosomes formation, packaging digestive enzyme into the lysosomes. Then third is lipid processing, modify this lipid. Means then the secretion if we see, it releases the secretory vesicles हो गए हमारे, secretion, hormones, enzymes. ये इसका examples है via exocytosis. Relationship with other organelles works closely with the ER itself, receives the proteins, lipid from the RER. Now this is the what diagram है ये हमारा किसका? Of the Golgi body. ये जो है this is the trans phase, this is the cis phase, this is the incoming transport vesicle, and this is the outgoing the transport vesicle. ये जो है this one is the what outgoing transport vesicle. This is the cisternae and this is the lumen. So I hope that in this lecture जितने भी हमने cover किया, whatever we have covered in this lecture is clear to you. I hope so. So please इसको revise करना, because क्या है ये जो part है ना cell का, it is very important. Cytoplasm बहुत important part है. Because क्या होगा यहाँ से क्या होगा? It will arise the question. Most of the question arise from here only. Cytoplasm and the cell organelles very difficult हो जाएगा. Please revise करना, because in the next lecture we are going to see more cell organelles, so it will be confusing. So please revise and take care. Goodbye and have a nice day.